It'd be super cool if Jimmy was here.
Everyone. Final moments to take your seats, please, and we'd like to kick off this AGM. Go. All right. Welcome, everybody, to our AGM. I would like to start off by saying Panse, Ali Shaparsky, Nanahiawin, Nasiga San Métis. So hello and welcome. My name is Ali Shaparsky. I am Cree Métis and I sit on the board of the Nsmba as your vice president. Thank you. I would like to start us off today by reminding everyone that we currently are on the unceded land of the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. Yeah. And that this land was taken from them in the colonization of what we now call Canada. The Nsmba works with a vision of Trails for All and Trails Forever, with the goal of protecting and stewarding the lands that we are now responsible for. We do this in a way that prolongs the life of the trails that many of us recreate on, while also giving back to the community and making sure the trails are accessible for everyone and belong to everyone. Some of the restitution that the Nsmba has completed of late, and especially this summer, is the partnership with Endless Biking, Squamish Nation, and the Chief Joe Mathias Center. We ran a continuation of our Trails for All youth program, where urban Indigenous children learn the basics of what makes up mountain biking. This is from some of our wonderful trail builders. Thank you, Brent, for heading this. And learning how to build trails that they recreate on, but also learning how to bike and shred the trails from Endless Biking. This was very important to get our urban youth out there. This is a big start for the Nsmba towards reconciliation on the ancestral stewards of these lands. And as a trail organization that works directly with the land itself that belonged to the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish nations, we strive to understand the history of the land before colonization, and we work to include these First Nation groups in talks about trails and in talks about this land. Currently, we are in works with Squamish Nation with the new Cypress Pine Trail and the naming of it. So we are very excited here to honor the history, language, and culture of the Squamish Nation in a land that is theirs. As an organization, we recognize that we have many steps to take in reconciliation and restitution efforts to honor the traditions of the keepers of this land. And we are privileged to live and recreate on these trails and the trails that make up the North Shore. So we like to recognize and honor the lands we are on and the history, the language, and the culture. And we encourage you to look up more as well with your local groups and learn more about the First Nations who stirred these lands before it became Canada. So you can look them up through their websites of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh Nations. And with that, I will pass it off to, I believe, Jimmy. So thank you.
Hey everyone, thanks very much for joining us. Just want to start off with a thanks to our AGM sponsors this evening, the Wallace, for providing us with this wonderful venue as a place to gather, socializing to conduct our meeting. North Point and Nani for contributing a variety of beverages, Stong's Market for catering the event, and Raceface, Oxygen, Yoga, and Fitness, MEC, and Norco for donating prizes that we're going to raffle off at the end of the evening. So thanks to all of those sponsors for making this night happen. Thank you. Took you a long time. Okay, what time is it? 7:08. 7:08, we're gonna call the meeting to order. My name is James Nadell. Most people call me Jimmy. I'm the president of the North Shore Mountain Biking Association. And welcome to the AGM. This is the principal opportunity for the Nsmba to recap what the organization has accomplished in the past year and to advise you and our members of some of our upcoming plans, and at the end to answer some questions should you have any. It's also an opportunity for us to connect with the community and showcase what we hope to do in the following years to make the trail network a better place for all of you. There are going to be some similar topics to the previous years, but with some shuffled items in an effort to complete the participatory aspects of the meeting early so that those who have obligations later in the evenings, i.e. parents, can still join us for those aspects. So the first item of business is to adopt the agenda. So this is the agenda for the evening. I'm looking for a motion from somebody within the audience to adopt the agenda. Vince had his hand up first in a second with Stormer. Thank you very much. Any objections to the agenda or abstentions or additions? Hearing nothing, the motion passes and the agenda is adopted. Rules of order. So the meeting follows Robert's Rules of Order as usual. We're going to have our election first and then proceed to the usual business. The time has been set aside at the end of the meeting for questions and answers. Each question and answer period will be allotted for about 3 to 5 minutes. You know, I think it's a long time since there's been any sort of fisticuffs or arguments. But just a reminder that everybody should be civil tonight. And if there's any questions that aren't addressed during the meeting, then just flip them to us at our email address, info@, and we can get to them in due course. So this is the barcode or whatever you call it. So if you want to scan this right now, then it's going to take you to the Nsmba member 365 forum so that you can log in and vote. Yeah, feel free to approach, get friendly. Yeah. You can, yeah, it's going to link you to the website, to the Members 365 portal, which is where the voting occurs. The voting's been open all day long, so if you've done it already, great. You can also access it and vote at any point in time. We're not going to be presenting the successful candidates immediately. That will happen at a later time within the meeting itself. You're going to need your username and password, so look that up if you can, so that you're not scrambling later on. Yes. This link comes up later on in the meeting when we actually get to that vote, so don't fret. We're going to move past it right now. So this is actually one of the more important aspects of the meeting. Before we actually get to the voting, we want to pass a special resolution to amend the bylaws. So at a point in the past, and as the bylaws currently stand, in order to reach quorum for the AGM and for other special meetings, we currently need what is greater, either 3 people or 3% of the membership. And that made sense at the point in the past when the membership was maybe 30 people, and that prevented 3 or 4 people from hijacking the agenda. But now that the membership has grown to in excess of 3,500 people, it makes it exceedingly difficult to get everybody here in a room together to vote for these special meetings. So this is the special resolution. Whereas in conjunction with filing the annual society's filing, the society desires to alter its bylaws pursuant to Section 17 of the Societies Act to provide greater flexibility in voting and participation at general meetings. Be it resolved as a special resolution that, 1, pursuant to Section 17 of the Act bylaw number 3.9, quorum for general meetings is hereby amended to be, quote, 3 members in good standing or 1% as opposed to 3% of the members in good standing at such time, whichever is greater. So the motion is on the floor for debate. If anybody has any questions or concerns or wants to discuss this, now is the time. Question, Mr. Bond. I mean, I guess in the same fashion that we present a hostile takeover now with over 100 people through discussion and kind words. Don't have a much more of an answer for you for that right now, but it's the same problem, just on a scaled fashion. So, any further questions or comments at the moment? Hearing not. Yes, Cooper. Yes, we're all very glad that it's not 5% like Vince Peace wanted it to be. It was, yeah, the times were different then. Igor. Sorry, the question is what makes the system bad as it is presently? Hard to think of an example right now without sort of catastrophizing. The question is what would be sort of a sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you, Igor. You might want to come up and grab the mic, but Rashid also might be able to answer your question.
Hey, Igor. So one concern with having the 3% is that we don't have quorum for our meetings, therefore can't voting changeover of elected directors. I think that addresses your question. Pardon? Yeah, so you can't. Yeah, it's that the organization can't function in due form because it doesn't meet the minimum required number of attendees at its meetings.
So is it all in attendance?
Yes, it's a matter of attendance.
That's it.
Yes. It's
So
really,
if
it's,
we make a bigger attendance, we get maybe more change.
no. It's that in order to be able to function as a society and to have a functioning AGM, we need a minimum currently of 3% of the membership. So that's 110 people. We're proposing to change that minimum to 33 people. So that in the event that a large number of members can't attend a meeting, we can still have a meeting. So having over 100 people here tonight has been a tremendous amount of effort on behalf of the NSMBA and on behalf of all of you for attending. In order to avoid missing that mark by 10 people, let's say, we're reducing the minimum number of members required in order to have a valid meeting.
The valid meeting has only numbers. We have 100 people in terms of, as you said, 1%, 30 people, because there's 3,500 people in current, like, in a whole kind of like a member system. 1% would vote for the entirety of 1 year or 2 year preference of that area. What I'm asking is, right now we have, I want to say 100 people here.
Yeah, yeah.
You're saying that we want to change it to 30 people being eligible to change the rules and regulations.
We were saying that we're saying that we're reducing the requirement to have a valid meeting. We'll still have all the motions presented beforehand. We'll still have all of the information set out before the meeting to the membership. And so if it's a very divisive issue that we're voting on, that will encourage more people to show up. Right? There's no cloak and daggers here. They're not.
That's the membership growth target.
Yeah, because if we go to 5,000, then getting 3% of 5,000 is 150 people. We'll have to find a bigger venue. It'll be more difficult logistically. It's just to reduce the logistical obligation and difficulties. That's right. So then you have to advertise another meeting. You have to go again until you have quorum and you can pass all your resolutions. Yes, sir. All right. So for the first one, it's been a concern the last few years. Yeah, we almost didn't make it last year. We almost didn't make it this year. So it's an ongoing concern as the membership grows, as more and more people from Vancouver and the greater Vancouver area that don't live directly on the shore become members of the NSMBA. That becomes a challenge as well, just the logistics of it. Your second question was why was 1% legal counsel? We sought legal counsel. And if you go to, it's not an uncommon number among societies to set at 1%. So it's a trend, it's an acceptable number. We went with it. It makes our life easier. Your third question was whether online voting. So we currently have online voting. The difficulty with online voting is registering and keeping track of people attending the whole meeting while they're online in order to meet the quorum criteria. So it's preferred to have it in person. Any other questions before we move on? Matthew Bond. Call the question. All right, I call the question. Do we have someone to, would you like to propose? We need someone to propose.
Yeah, the question is on the adoption of the special resolution, as I read earlier. All in favor? Show of hands. Anyone opposed? No hands. Any abstentions? Okay, the motion passes, and we have revised our bylaws to accord with the slide as soon as it's filed legally. Thanks, everyone, for the questions and comments there. That's excellent. Okay, now we can move on to the actual Board of Directors election. We have 7 spots available. We have 8 candidates this evening. This is the voting process, same as last year. All the candidates will introduce themselves with a 1-minute video. And then you can attend at the Member 365 portal and cast your ballots virtually there. Board members are elected for a 2-year term, and they are elected as directors at large, and then subsequently the board themselves will acclaim and vote on officer positions in accordance with the interests and the needs of the board itself. Okay, so there is a another code here. This links us to the same. This is the Wi-Fi. If you need the Wi-Fi, you can take a photo of the screen. And this again, I believe, is what's going to take you to the Nsmba Member 365 portal. Once you're there, log in. There is a heading called Forms, and then from there you can select up to 7 candidates. Yes. Now we're going to play the videos.
Hi everyone, my name is Angelie and I'm a proud North Vancouverite and a passionately average mountain biker. I want to
Bear with us, folks. Might be the reason.
Second, folks, we're trying to turn the audio up. Can we just get a nice speech? I know you're here.
My name is Angelie and I'm a proud North Vancouverite and a passionately average mountain biker. I want to join the Nsmba board because it's an opportunity for me to get back to the community and support them. As an outdoor enthusiast, I've experienced firsthand the value that Nsmba brings to the community, and I want to contribute my skills in strategic planning, business development, and brand marketing to support its mission. But don't just take it from me, I'll let the numbers do the talking. 300,000, the number of people who try mountain biking for the first time in BC this year. 1,700, the number of members who are part of the Nsmba. 543, the number of mountain bike trails in North Vancouver, like this one. 5,000, the number of volunteer hours some of those 1,700 members have spent maintaining those 543 trails each year. 1, the number of people needed to make a difference. Vote for me and I'll do my best to help steward the vision of Trails for All, Trails Forever here on the show.
Hey there, this is Anthony Martins, and I'm so excited to get the opportunity to apply to the board of directors of the Nsmba. It was a dream of mine to move out to British Columbia ever since I was a little kid, mountain biking in Ontario, or wherever we could mountain bike in Ontario, and I was able to make that dream a reality 2 years ago. And the opportunity to combine my passion for mountain biking and creating more inclusive environments for local communities is a dream come true. So I hope I have the opportunity to work with that with you. Take care.
Hi, my name is Olivia Powers and I'm up for re-election this year to the board of directors with the Nsmba. So I've been kicking around this biking scene on the show for the last 10 years or so. And I was pretty hands-on with the women's biking community for a long time, on board of directors for one of those clubs. And then I transitioned to the Nsmba 2 years ago, where I've been really involved with the Trails for All committee and the Advanced Volunteers committee. And my intention next year is to get a bit more involved with the revenue committee. And yeah, I'm really hoping to get elected and to stay on board with the Nsmba for the next 2 years. Thank you.
Problems, project solutions. Beyond that, I currently enrolled in Caroline University with a focus in events and production management. Me, like-minded individuals, are willing to that like part of control of years. We not only believe, but we know that we made a positive impact for this community. Building not only a bike park for all to enjoy, but a community for all to foster. My goal is to create a nurturing environment to provide experiences for all the people within sport and entertainment. And of course, it is all the music association community while providing fair for all.
Hey there, my name's Mike Nelson. Growing up in North Vancouver, I've watched this trail network evolve into something incredible. It's a privilege to have this space in our backyard, and it's thanks to the NSMBA and our community that we've got such a well-supported trail network. In my work life, I've had the opportunity to collaborate with a number of land managers and design and construction projects, as well as with sports organizations and volunteer coordination roles. And I'm keen to bring that background to the NSMBA and work with staff, the board, and the community, and pitch in to build upon the legacy that's been created here. I know we keep these trails sustainable and accessible for future generations, and I just want to take this opportunity to say thanks for considering me for this position.
My name is Mara Anderson, and I'm a local national fan resident in Nsmba Lonsdale with my 2 kids. And I've been for years, for a long time. I love it. I'm a member, and doing my best to go to trail days, and work and stuff. And I would love to be on the board. I've been really looking for another board opportunities in 2 years. I saw on boards and prompts, there's on the emotional girls, the board for 40 years. And this really spoke to me. And so that, you know, I'm a business leader, I know people at and so I bring like people right to business leadership, strategic decision making skills, and all sorts of other skills that I can walk you through. I'm really dedicated to diversity and inclusion in my own team, where I work. As well as just building community and so many people ways that can promote that. I would love to add a voice to the board, just be a part of this awesome group. I'm happy to come to the AGM and introduce myself more in person, and maybe consider it. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, my name is Richard Bryant, and I've just finished the most awesome ride up on Mount Seymour. I'm a current interim board member of NSMBA and bring an expertise in human resources and adaptive mountain biking. While I myself am not an adaptive mountain biker, my son Richie is, and we spend a lot of time up here checking out the trails, seeing how we can offer some input back to NSMBA to make them accessible for more people. It's been a privilege to be working on with the board for the last few months, and I would love the honor of staying with them. So please vote for me to stay on the board, and don't forget everyone, please donate to NSMBA. They need your funds to keep these trails awesome all year round. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it.
Wonderful. Thanks, everybody who put their names forward. And for the diversity of videos there, that was great. Time to cast your votes. I think we've got maybe a slide out of order here. No, these are the candidates, pardon me. What's that? Please, yeah. Only 7, up to 7. Select up to 7. Or what? Or fewer, but select 7. Don't choose all 8. Okay. Are we good now? Can we move on? Or are we gonna like, do we need to like? Okay, everybody hang tight, take 10 minutes, 5 minutes, cast your votes. We'll recommence the meeting. That's just my computer here. Oh. So
I was just gonna say, as like, so this is all you. And then that's Dan, right? Does Dan come up to do these?
I did these last year.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, and then
So then finances, so then that's where you introduce Rashid.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, you introduce Rashid. I'll remind Rashid he introduces me.
Yeah.
I introduce Sahaba. Sahaba introduces Henry, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Sweet. Thanks,
Cool,
man.
man. What's that? Yeah, at the back. Everybody grab your seats, please. Okay, everybody, voting is closed now, so we'll reveal the successful candidates at the end of the meeting. Ben's basically chairing this meeting with me. So I'm thrilled to stand before you again as a representative of the board of directors, and thank you all for being members of the association and for showing up here to make the NSMBA and your community better. You literally revised the governing structure of the association this evening with your support, and being present fosters and strengthens the relationships between yourselves, and it's what allows us to accomplish things as a collective. It baffles me how much time has passed, but this is the third AGM that I have chaired. And the past couple of years during this spot in the programming, I've tried perhaps using some forced bike-related metaphors to communicate something meaningful about mountain biking and the association. But this is my last term on the board for now at least. And I want to use this time to shine a light on the amazing people who dedicate their time to improve the NSMBA and their community, namely our board of directors and staff. Raj Barar, he's not here tonight. He's a forensic accountant. He knew that he was fated to become the treasurer the moment that he was elected, and he took the reins from Kat Enns, our former longstanding treasurer, within a matter of weeks. He has a passion and a knowledge for accounting that is palpable, and he's able to explain the financial picture in a way that everyone understands. Ali Shaparsky, you heard from her earlier this evening. She stepped up into the role of vice president. Yeah, you can applaud people along the way as you like. Ever since she joined the board, she's been making substantial contributions to supervisory aspects of staff, HR, officers, and directors. She sits on the Trails for All committee and brings a wealth of personal experience as an active member within multiple outdoor recreation communities. Ella Walmsley contributes so much to the Events and Volunteers Committee and the Trails for All committee that it's easy to overlook that she's also our secretary and diligently and enthusiastically records board meeting minutes, all while making savvy contributions to our discussions. She's also conducted substantial research and learning in the areas around adaptive mountain biking, and she's advancing our advocacy in that area. Ben Organ, co-chairing this meeting with me without being requested to do so. Save my rump. He's been on the board for 5 years. He's presently the longest standing director that we have. It's hard to summarize the impact that he's had on the association over this past year, let alone his entire tenure. He has a background as a software engineer and has lent support to many crucial yet simply operational tasks. But he's also played an integral role in the broader management of the association, from HR issues to managing matters of strategic planning and helping to organize our annual raffle. He's a principal member of the Trails for All committee and was the main proponent behind the youth mountain biking program that Ali mentioned during her land acknowledgement. And that program has already provided over 20 hours of programming for Indigenous and at-risk youth to try mountain biking and trail building. He also attended somewhere in the area of 8 trail days this year and volunteered at numerous other NSMBA events. So a substantial amount of time that he's committed to this association. Leary Harris is also up for re-election today. She sits on the Events and Volunteers Committee and the Trails for All Committee. And in addition to the long-term planning that she does, she shows up and helps to pull off our fivers and community events frequently. Colin Brummel stepped down earlier this year after 3 seasons on the board, but always provided thoughtful, rational contributions at the meetings and was involved on more substantive projects as well. Rashid, who you heard from and will hear from again, he's a CPA with multiple years of experience, as well as multiple years of experience as an NSMBA director from way back in the day. So what more do you want? He's a constant source of ideas and enthusiasm, sits on both the finance and the revenue committees, and adds to all of our discussions because whatever we do, there's dollars coming in and dollars going out. He's also been our unofficial social convener, getting the board together for rides, or at least trying to, and also hosting multiple team building events to bring us together. Rob Donovan is the chair of our Trails Working Group, using his professional experience from project commissioning and management, and also years of experience as a builder on Frome on multiple trails to support advocacy and educational efforts regarding land use and enhancing our builder relations and resources and providing ongoing advice and assistance for the NSMBA staff. And beyond facilitating himself numerous trail days, he puts in a substantial amount of effort and planning in other programs such as our Trail Apprentice program, which is currently in a trial run. Steve Leonis is involved in so many aspects of the NSMBA. It's also difficult to know what to highlight, from important HR support to marketing guidance to project programming to high-level financial strategizing. Steve's committed innumerable hours that have been invaluable to the NSMBA's professionalization over the past 3 years. And he's actually only been a board member for 2 of those years. So 1 year he was just volunteering out of the goodness of his heart. His efforts have directly improved the level of management and awareness that the association has now, particularly around our major revenue streams, which are membership and sponsorship. And he's also up for re-election tonight. Also up for re-election right now, Richard Grimes. You may recognize from last year's AGM, he ran for the board, and when he was not elected, notwithstanding, he reached out to us to volunteer his time. And since then, he's spent many hours at our NSMBA board meetings and also advises on HR-related issues, as well as in the areas of accessible mountain biking. And he completed the BC bike race this summer too, proudly training here on the North Shore. This is our trail crew. You'll recognize many of them. Todd Digger, Theander, he's still out there every single day, getting things done and making it fun for everyone. Henry Fitzgerald is easily the most positive, enthusiastic person on the association, probably, that I've ever met. He meets the varied challenges of the trail director role, strengthening our relationships with land managers, supporting our builders, and continually learning on the job. Marcus Van Haast still looks 16, but he's been on the trail crew for 3 years now and has grown into a solid builder and a key member of the team. And Ruben Price is our newest addition to the trail crew, who also brings the stoke and hunger for knowledge. For our staff, Deanne Cote, you'll hear a lot from her this evening. She does absolutely everything, implementing the overall strategic direction for the association, managing staff, working with land managers, working with builders, working with sponsors, reviewing contracts, sitting on nearly all of the committees, writing grants, organizing events, volunteering at the trail days, volunteering at fivers, volunteering at community events, liaising with community stakeholders, answering emails. She does everything, runs the entire association. I'd like everybody to give a big round of applause for Deanne. Stephanie Taylor is the one who gets stuff done. She's our go-to person for adding a Trails for All perspective to everything that we do. And she wrangles all of the volunteers that make what we do out there in the community happen. Zahava Barwin brought her vast knowledge of the bike industry to our team, and her superpower is building true partnerships with community associations and with businesses. And we're so fortunate to have her. Likewise, Gareth is a relatively new member of the team, shows the outside world what we do as an organization, highlights the amazing work of our builders in addition to managing all the internet trolls. Couple special mentions here. Kat Enns, as I said earlier, was a longstanding treasurer since 2020. She bowed out this year when she took on a new role at the David Suzuki Foundation, but she also always contributed substantial time and advice to numerous discussions. She's sorely missed. Likewise with Sarah McLeod, who was our formal trail crew lead and the first trail director. She moved to the Kootenays earlier this year. She was absolutely instrumental in getting Cambodia organized, kept that project on track, and managed it to completion. Sarah Ohm was with us for too short a time. She was our partnerships and event manager, but completed a full overhaul of our sponsorship program last year and set the stage for Zahava to take over and hit the ground running. And Bishop Carrasquero is a former member of the trail crew, rad person that we've also lost to the eastern border of this province when he moved to Rebel Stroke. But before he left, he had a great impact on the trails as well. Okay, we've got some special mentions as well for people who have just dedicated so much of their time and specialization. Additional thanks to everyone listed on this screen here who stepped up and helped. Yeah. Get all of the content and photographs and just so much creative assistance, tandem photography. Megan and Steve are present. Chop Shop, Collins Venture, our former Guard vendor member, supported the raffle, and Jeff Livingston and everybody else, Chris and Colin, who lent their photographic skills. We've also had a number of community members volunteer their time on committees this year. So Brad Samus and Brendan Kidd, Cynthia Young, Matt Bond, Richard Grimes, and Vince Beast. So thanks to all of you, and also thanks to the director candidates who have stepped up tonight and offered to volunteer themselves to service of their community. Okay, we want to mention specifically the builders now who this institution is meant to support. Got an excellent small powerhouse crew on Cyprus. Ian, Kevin, Mark, and Jason are the builders. Big round of applause. Those guys just do an insane amount of work on their own, but they also had some epic trail days this year and managed and coordinated just a massive amount of human labor. We also want to give a special welcome to the apprentice builders that they've brought into the fold. Watleen, Daniel Beer, and Jared Uramowski, who are working alongside them and under them just to increase the excellence on the mountain over there as well. And a special mention to Alan Bardsley, who has been advocating for the Cypress trails for over 17 years. And he's done a massive amount of work for us and kept us on track. Okay, I can't give quite the same amount of attention to all of the builders on Frome and all of the builders on Seymour, but you know who you are, and everyone here should also know who they are as well. Off the trail, writing work plans, walkthroughs, training, out there in the conditions, whether it's raining or snowing, time away from work and families, not riding on their own because they're busy making the trails better for all the members to ride. So thank you to all the Frome builders, and thank you to all of the Seymour builders as well. Just an incredible crew of people, and it keeps growing. So thanks to all the builders. Just a round of applause now for all of the builders. Hey, it's time to move into a different portion of the meeting, so I'm gonna welcome Rashid Nail, our director, and take it away.
Good evening, friends. I'm stepping in for Raj, who's currently in India for a wedding. And so I get to step in for the financial update. This year's been pretty good year financially. We were quite hard. And still ended up with a deficit. So the organization ran surpluses during the pandemic. We were very fortunate with the generosity of the membership and people signing up for memberships. So in 2021, 22, we ran surpluses, 23 and 24, we've been running deficits, spending that money. We still have, at the end of the financial year, $200,000 in the bank, which provides us sufficient funding to run 6 months of programming. That's okay. So flipping over to the statement of operations, we ran a $54,000 deficit this year. And most of it can be attributed to sponsors not renewing their contributions or their support between 23 and 24. As you may know, the bike industry has gone through some difficult 18 months in terms of sales, and that has impacted bike shops, it's impacted various organizations that support the industry, and therefore it's impacted the Nsmba's financial support from that perspective. With Zahava coming on board, she's able to be creative and work with new sponsors and develop new ways to maintain funding. And we were able to not see a massive drop in the tap and sponsorship line, which otherwise you would see quite a significant decrease had we not brought on a dedicated relationship and stewardship role. Operationally, we're putting in programs in order to continue to provide a high level of and high quality and dedication to trail maintenance from a paid builder perspective, and not solely relying on volunteers. And implementing that program responsibly, we've managed to reduce the shortfall between periods by having a positive variance between 23 and 24, where our deficit went from 117 to 54 minus. We anticipate being in the black next year. We budgeted for it, but then again, on the revenue side, it's always an estimate, especially when you're a charity and you're relying on the benevolence of others in order to operate. From a financial perspective, this is how the breakdown comes for revenues. So membership still accounts for a significant portion and a growing portion of our revenues, and we're very grateful for that as an organization, where the membership accounts for 27% of total revenues. The other large contributors are grants and government contracts, and then sponsorship, which is TAP and various community organizations sponsoring trails in order to have their names as adopters. And I think that's it for finance. Yeah, Gareth will now come and present marketing.
Thank you, folks. It's wonderful to be here. I stood in front of everybody this time last year at the AGM with a mite of imposter syndrome. I still have a little bit of imposter syndrome, but I have a lot more experience with the Trail Network and running our campaigns, pushing our membership, and getting it done. I'm pretty excited to sit in front of you and say that we have the most members we've ever had. So, thank you. We have hit 3,504 members. That is 412 new members and an 11% increase from 2023. Interesting stat for me is an average year-on-year growth for our memberships is about 7.4% from 2020. And even if you look back to 2015, the organization, the setup, the infrastructure has gone a hell of a long way. Memberships make up, as Rashid said, 27% of our kind of revenue stream. It's a massively important piece of the puzzle for me. But as a marketing person, I want to stand in front of everybody and tell you how amazing the trail network is, because it really is. We are so lucky to have what we have in front of us, and what we have has been built upon thousands of hours of volunteer time, which is just baffling, really. Some of the campaigns that I ran this year, in February, we ran a 29-minute for 29-day challenge. The goal of this was to try and incentivize non-members to sign up and join us. We had 120 people sign up to the challenge. Only 65 people completed it, but it was interesting that we had 65 people complete it, but over 100 people who weren't even members join up to get involved with our organization. So my goal is to try and convert some of these people over to actual memberships, or if not, get them to keep pushing with donations. We ran a raffle this year, which was our Trails Forever raffle. It was a huge task for fundraising, and I'm delighted to say that we raised $21,000. And also in the summer, we ran our community survey. Super important to get feedback from the community, from trail users. We've shared the community survey up on our website, and we'll be pushing that out again in the coming months. Big incentive for me when I joined the organization was to revitalize some merch. So I'm also delighted to say we have some new merch on hand. This evening, we have a 20% off for anybody at the AGM. Go get some fresh merch, not included in the $5 t-shirt deals. Please take those off our hands. I do not want to put them back into storage. And then finally, for 2025, again, membership is my huge priority. We have a target set, 4,000 members. We didn't get there last year, but we're striving really hard to get there for the end of 2025. We're going to be pushing a number of membership promotion campaigns, highlighting our runner and hiker members, highlighting our family membership, and also highlighting our super members. Delighted to tell you that as of today, we have 22 super members of the organization. So these are members that have donated $250 to the organization to get the same benefits as everybody else. Shout out to super members. Thank you. In addition, we have a 50-50 draw lined up for February this year. Again, we have big fundraising goals to complete small trail projects, so fundraising is always top of my mind. Merch will always be one of my priorities personally, so I'll keep pushing Deanne to get some more merch out into the market. And then finally, we will be doing another raffle. It might look a little bit different next year, but there will be one. Thank you very much. Next up, I'd like to introduce Zaha.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I've been with the Nsmba since February. As many people out there have mentioned, I've been in the industry for about 10 years. It's been really rad to work for this organization. It's such a cool opportunity to take my passion for cycling and also connect that back to community development. I work as partnerships and events manager, so we're going to start with partnerships. For me, that means TAP. TAP is our trail adoption plan. That's where businesses and brands can partner with the Nsmba to adopt our world-renowned trails, connect directly with our community. TAP funding is important to the organization because it funds our public and private trail days, and it also helps us bring new trails into the network. Two great examples of that in the past few years were Cyprus with Fox Trail Trust, as well as on Cambodia with SRAM. Henry will touch more on those in a little bit. So for 2024, we had 26 partners on 29 trails. I want to highlight 5 new exciting partnerships that we had this year. Cannondale was very generous to provide e-bikes for our trail staff for a full-time trail crew. This has made their lives so much easier in terms of accessing. This has made their lives so much easier in terms of accessing more remote parts of our network, especially the last few weeks with all the deadfall and Frome, be able to get up, carry a chainsaw on a bike, and get their work done. We also have Shore Sirens who partnered with Adidas 510. Very excited about that one. For me, that was the first contract that I worked on when I first started with the job. They've already had a couple trail days on 7th, and that's going really well. We've also got Brian Young Real Estate on King of the Shore. I know he's here tonight. If you get a round of applause. And then NM on Corkscrew, as well as Oxygen Yoga and Fitness in North Van, who's our newest current partner. Want to highlight that we had 156 trail days that were paid for through our trail adoption plan. I think that's pretty amazing. That's more than we had last year. We've already talked about revenues. And then, yeah, for next year, I already have a couple partnerships in progress that I'm really excited about. You can find out more about those through our social media. We typically do an announcement every time we have a new partnership. And you can also keep an eye out for their trail signs that are out on the trails all over our 3 mountains. So next we're going to highlight all of our top partners. These are our soil and granite partners. So we've got SRAM, they're here tonight. Got Cannondale, Fox Trail Trust, Vancouver's North Shore Tourism, Arc'teryx, Ferrari Construction, and MEC. Wrong way. And then these are our fungi and fern partners. We've got all of these on a whole bunch of trails. If you're interested in finding out more information about our TAP program, you can always shoot me an email, or you can visit the website. We have a brand new PDF that we just launched. And then I also want to highlight our in-kind partnerships. I also want to highlight our in-kind partnerships. This is for giveaways, also food, event, services, event space. We're always looking for new ways to work with people. So next we'll talk about events and fibers. Pretty busy calendar for the last year. We had a lot of our community pop-ups on both Rome and Seymour. We did a bike drive with our community bikes at United Strangers. We attended the BC Bike Show. We attended Blue Ridge Good Neighbor Days and Parkgate Days. We had 8 fibers. We had 3 classics, 2 casuals, and 2 WTMPs. We also brought back the 25er. We were able to raise $1,300 for the Indigenous Youth Mountain Bike Program. I think it's really rad that as an organization, we're able to support other organizations in our area whose values align with ours. We also hosted a builder appreciation night. I think it's really important to remind the builders how much we appreciate their hard work. We did that at North Point. We fed them lots of beer and pizza, gave away some pretty rad prizes. And then our total event revenue, including the Trails for All February Challenge, was $14,000. That's something that we'll talk about in a little bit. We're hoping to grow that for next year. Was that? Yeah. Next, I want to give a massive thank you to our course and first aid volunteers and sweeps. We as staff are so busy at Fibers, getting everyone signed in. We wouldn't be able to run those events without all of our the volunteers up on the mountain running the time equipment, our first aid volunteers, and our sweeps. This is the first year ever having e-bikes at Fibers, and that went really well. We're able to get them on course first. They're also the first ones to the après. And then in terms of ridership, we did see a slight decrease in overall riders, but I do want to highlight that we had 131 junior riders out, and this is a 44% increase compared to last year. We had a casual and youth fiver at Norco, as you can see in this picture. That was in April. We had a huge showing from Devo Cycling as well. Next, these are our fiber partners. Similarly to volunteers, we wouldn't be able to run these events without the generosity of our local bike shops, the local brands, food and bev partners. They put in so much hard work at the après while we're up on the mountain, and collective effort, we're able to put the events together. And then the part that I'm sure a lot of people want to know about, we're going to talk a little bit about what we're planning to do for next year. So we have a goal of improving our fiber attendance. And in order to do that, we want to condense our calendar a little bit. So we're going to have 5 events from late April to mid-June. And courses are going to get progressively harder. So recognizing that at the beginning of the year in April, we have limited daylight. We need to be able to get all of our riders, our volunteers, and our sweeps safely off the mountain. So our April fiver will have the shortest course, and then our fiver at the mid-June will have the longest, hardest course in line with the amount of daylight that we have to work with. We're also going to be working on potentially a new women's trans non-binary event in September. There'll be more details to be announced about that in the new year. We're also going to readjust our pricing structure for fivers. This is to cover our rising costs of putting on the events. We've also had our timing equipment serviced. All the batteries in the timing readers, I know we had a lot of problems with that this year. All the batteries in those have been replaced. They are ready to be shipped back once Canada Post is back kind of shipping packages. To go along with the $10, it's also potentially an opportunity to rebrand the naming. We haven't by any means made any firm decisions on that yet, but keep an eye out for that. We'll also be introducing a pre-registration through the Nsmba web store. We're not necessarily going to do seasons pass, but you will be able to check out for multiple fivers in one go. So we'll announce all the dates. You can pick the events that you want to attend, and then you can pay for those in advance. Recognizing that not all of our membership wants to race, we're also planning some new large community trailboat days, potentially with an après. These are going to be in April, May, in June is BC Trails Day, September and October. We're thinking like 50 people, full trail top to bottom. I know we're planning to do one on Empress Bypass as well. We're also bringing back the Chrome Fondo. That will be on Saturday, September 6th. That's our virtual Turfworks event. It's on the same day as the Whistler Grand Fondo, hence the name. And then last, we'll have our community pop-ups. And I just want to remind everyone, these are a great opportunity to connect with directors and staff. To go along with those lines, if you have any feedback, ideas surrounding past events, future events, the best way to let us know is generally by email. So you can either email me directly, or you can email info@nsmba.ca. Thank you so much for your time. And next we'll have Henry.
Very well.
Hey everyone, Henry here. I'm going to be presenting the trails segment of today. Yeah. A huge thank you to every single person who came out in 2024 to lend a hand on the trails, whether it was a dry day or whether it was a trail day by draining some puddles on a ride with friends or submitting a report on trail forks. Every contribution helps us maintain our world-class trail system, and we absolutely could not do it without you. We recognize there's an extensive amount of work that is done on our trail network, and we have a few highlights here to share. Our community of volunteers put in approximately 6,000 hours of work On Seymour, around 2,500. Cypress, 1,600. And lastly, our board of directors put in approximately 800, making up for 12,000 hours of volunteer work in 2024. We increased our public trail days up to 171. That's 54 more than last year. There were 488 first-time volunteers, and we hosted many youth groups. School District 44, Girl Guides, Scouts, Capilano University OREC, Air Cadets, Success Team, Indigenous Youth, and Indigenous Youth Endless Summer Camps. That accounted for 572 youth volunteers. That's 222 more than 2023. Awesome. Now I got some trail updates for you guys. This is not an extensive list of all that has happened, but here are a few highlights from our past year out on the trail. Over on Cypress, there's been a significant progress on the climbing trail. The bridge for Mar Creek crossing has been constructed and will be installed weather dependent. That's a heli install, so quite exciting. We're aiming for a spring 2025 official grand opening. Meat Sweats and Jersey Shore have had a bunch of reroutes to increase the connectivity, improve alignment, and to account for the increase of the multi-purpose usership. Over on Seymour, in spring 2024, we opened up Cambodia as a legal sanctioned trail in partnership with Metro Vancouver. The project is supported by SRAM, Canada Summer Jobs, BC Gaming Grant, and the Nsmba. Slash received a new exit with some twin blue and black lines. Built to give options for the riders, the blue line, a gold ribbon connecting in the bridle path with a parallel black section that includes approximately 62 feet of elevated woodwork with some difficult components that are closer to the ground to keep things a bit safer. Over on Empress, we're undertaking a full trail rebuild that will take approximately 600 hours of trail work. Funding has been secured through a BC Parks grant and a BC Gaming grant. The work for that will be completed by the trail crew with support of some large-scale community trail days. And over on Frog, starting with Pipeline, the trail received a massive update with the completion of the Zen Garden. Expanding on the original 100-meter boardwalk, the feature is comprised of 3 intertwining lines. Sorry. We're back. Putting this down. Awesome. Yeah, so we got 3 lines on the Zen Garden. A main single black line that follows the general character of the trail. A double black line that includes tight, technical, and skinny woodwork that is built low to the ground for lower consequences. Then there's a triple black line, giving a truly gnarly and old school experience for riders. This took the team on Pipeline 1,400 hours of work over 6 months to complete. Lower Olcan is undergoing an ongoing update, including the addition of some new berms and a refresh of the trail red surface with an ongoing goal to add connectivity to the trail. The Climb Trail, Front Climb Trail has received huge sections of fresh gold and cedar cribbing to freshen up the trail bed. And what? Lastly, on Frog, we have 2 exciting projects set to start in 2025, and stay tuned for more details there. And now I'm going to pass it off with that for an advocacy update. Over to Deanne. Thanks. Thank you.
Yes, we're gonna keep teasing everybody with those. All right. Trail advocacy is ongoing, of course. Picture your favorite trail, your favorite feature. Think about the joy, the smiles, and the whoops you've shared with friends out there. Trails like these just don't happen by chance. Behind every pedal stroke or step you take on that trail, there's the team of passionate advocates working tirelessly to make it possible. These behind-the-scene efforts are the backbone of our advocacy work, from securing funding, negotiating land use agreements, to fostering community partnerships and protecting the environment. We work our tushies off every single day to ensure that we can all just hit the trails and enjoy the escape into nature. So let's dive into the hidden yet essential efforts of the 2024 advocacy that continues to help keep our trails open, thriving, and ready for adventure. I'll go through a list of all of our land managers and what we've been up to in 2024. So our district in North Vancouver friends had the natural area trail strategy approved earlier this year, which is huge. There was years of work put into it, and it's going to increase, give us the ability to do a lot of really cool things out on the DNV lands, including the upcoming Seymour Trail Plan. There is the builder meeting that we had in September. The DNV invited the builders on Frome specifically to talk through some of the priorities going into 2025, which is why we alluded to some new projects that are upcoming. As I mentioned, they are starting the Seymour's Trail Plan. The DNV has been baseline mapping all of the trails specifically on Seymour, getting ready to come up with a proper plan for Seymour. That has been in the works for like 10, 15 years as well. So that's a huge step forward. The Frome maintenance agreement that we have with the district in North Vancouver is currently under renewal. We'll have more information to update you on that within the new year. And our Frome projects that we're very, very excited about, and we will share many more details as we learn and are able to share out to the general public. The District of West Vancouver also had a massive year. We were invited for the very first time to come and present to council just a quick update on what our yearly highlights were. And our council was very welcoming and received us quite well. The Cypress Village development, some of you may have seen Alan Bardsley posted this just the other day. The initial planning for this project started in 2007. 17 years of advocacy work of mountain bikers showing up to each and every single meeting. This week, the phase development agreement went through its 4th and final reading, and it is official. The Cypress Village development is going forward, which is exciting. This new development will include 50 acres of land for designated for mountain bike trails and over $500,000 in funding for new trail development. Also at the District of West Vancouver, a big change was the Upper Lands Park. The announcement was made back in May in conjunction with the BC Parks Foundation. It's officially dedicating over 1,900 acres as protected parkland, and a move that's really going to greatly benefit the community and the environment, and potentially allow us to have some more trails in that zone. Thank you, District of West Van. Over on Seymour, Rec Sites and Trails BC, we've been working rather closely with them this year. We worked alongside them with the pilot project. It's a provincial trail rating standard and signage program that they've pretty much reworked. It was piloted in, I think, 7 or 8 communities. We provided feedback throughout the process, and it is finished, it's wrapped up. And they're gonna be implementing these new trail signage standards and everything across the province, starting, well, whenever the government gets back up and running again. Our recreation access management plan, that has been in process for about 2 years now, maybe 3, is still in First Nations consultation. So we're just waiting to hear back, of when we can progress with that. Within that plan, there was a lot to do with signage. That was the biggest piece that was included within that management plan. So, we're hoping that gets moving forward shortly. As well, they're still clearing out explosive things in the Blair Range project or Blair Range area, so just keep staying out of there while they clear that up. Metro Vancouver, the Lower Seymour Conservation Reserve, recently, the NSMBA was included on their standing offer agreement, meaning that we can now get called up for projects and get paid to do the work. This is massive, massive. So after many years, we're now in that state. We're very, very excited and very grateful that this has finally gone through, and we look forward to collaborating with Metro Vancouver further with projects on their lands. What else? Grouse. Oh, grouse. Are we all excited about grouse? New bike park obviously is opening in 2025. We're very excited about this. The one thing that has come out of it now, of course, the trails and stuff are on their private land. We don't really have much input in that. But it has brought us to the table with grouse in a way we haven't engaged with them before, which I think is extremely spectacular. They have invited us to provide support for a phase 2 development of their bike park. You know, asked us how would these trails affect the lower Frome trails? How is their connectivity and all of this kind of stuff? So there's lots more exciting things that are happening with Grouse Mountain these days. And we're really, really excited to be at the table with them during the process. And then last but not least, BC Parks. We have a 5-year partnership agreement with them. I think we're in year 2, so nothing too like crazy happening over in BC Parks land right now. But Empress Bypass, as Henry said, is getting a revamp, and we did get some grant money from them to do the work. That's it for advocacy. Just doing a quick little intro. I'm sure some of you may have heard, you know, our board of directors have been sitting on committees. This is kind of a new thing this year. We're excited to introduce these new committees that are going to help propel our mission forward. During last year's AGM, I shared our vision for a Trails for All committee in my strategic plan update, and that was to help enhance the strategic plan and foster greater community involvement. Alongside this important committee, the board has recognized additional areas where support from our dedicated directors and external volunteers with valuable experience can make a significant impact. So consequently, we have formed 6 committees this year. Finance, who you heard from earlier, they're really just, you know, making sure our budget's on track and checking in on the monies. We also have our event and volunteer committee, our trails working group, our revenue committee, and our Trails for All committee. So these committees are going to help empower us to strengthen our operations and amplify our initiatives. I'd like to invite Steve, Rob, Ali, and Ella to come up and share more about what the committees have been doing this year.
Thank you. Alrighty, hello everybody. My name is Ella and I sit on the Events and Volunteers Committee. So as Deanne said, set up just this year. And so we were kind of figuring out what our roles were and how we could best support staff and the delivery of the NSMBA goals. So we decided on 3 main priorities. We wanted to support volunteer involvement. And so this involved encouraging people to come out to fivers, getting specialty volunteers for those fivers, like the first aid attendants as well. In 2025, that's going to look a little bit more like finding some strategy to get volunteers to come to our fivers so that we're making sure we're getting really good attendance and involvement in those different events. We also want to make sure that we are creating community within the NSMBA membership. So for us, this is partially connecting directors to the membership, so with the community pop-ups and such, but then also creating and building community within the NSMBA Board of Directors. So we've done a few events that way as well. Lastly, we want to envision future events. So we're thinking really long-term about the events that we want to create and deliver with the NSMBA, making sure that they align with our values and with what the membership wants. This is working alongside Nsmba very closely and figuring out strategies for how we can deliver fibers and other community events in 2025. That's our very brief update. I'm going to hand it over to Rob.
Thanks, Ella. I'm really glad this screen is here. Sort of 70% sure it would be. I'm Rob. I'm a trail builder, and I'm also on the board of directors. We're talking about the Trails Working Group. So what that means to me is we're working with trail builders, we're working with the board of directors, we're working with other people, listening to people on trail days, trying to get feedback so we can make trail days better, trails better. So we're working with builders and landowners and building relationships. I think we went through some slides and stuff earlier, just questions and Q&A with the board. Relationships was the most important thing. So onboarding and mentorship program. So people always come up to me and ask, what can I do to give back? I'd like to do some more trail building. We have an apprenticeship program. So we've got different things on onboarding and mentorship. So we'll get some new builders out there. Trail planning, what are we doing next year? What are the priorities? How many hours are we spending on stuff? Are we rebuilding lots of berms? So sort of strategic planning for trail building next year. Checking in with the builders. I like to go out to trail days and check in with the builders and send out emails and see if there's any concerns or see if there's anything that they need. Let them know they can reach out to us at any time and let us know what's going on. How to make trail days better. When I got into trail building, it was because of food. I'm a food motivated person. There was free breakfast and lunch that day, and I've never been trail building before. That sounded good to me. And here I am now talking to everyone here about trail building and on the board trail. Food prizes, whatever, lots of different things. I'm trying to see how we can get more people out on trail days. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Steve.
Hello. First, I want to say, I'll just call out the team members. Ben is on the revenue committee, as is Deanne, Zahava, and Gareth, all here tonight. Also, from time to time, we see Illyri and Raj. So revenue committee, it's kind of obvious, it's money. Why do we care about it? As you guys saw, we're running a deficit this year. So one of our objectives is to close that deficit. So we're trying to grow our revenue streams. You might, we didn't, if you saw it in the revenue line, we actually have an significant increase in membership revenue this year over last year. We're going to do that again next year. We have a plan to do the same thing for the sponsorship revenue, and that stuff is largely handled day to day by the staff. So Gareth and Zahava are taking care of that. But the revenue committee is kind of more strategic. It's focused on the bigger picture, the plan. Are we on target? Are we not on target? What are we doing to generate new revenue? That kind of thing. So one of the things that we're focused on this year from the revenue committee is grants. Grants is like an 8% line item this past year. There's a lot of money out there that we can go get if we put a bit of effort into it. And also we're thinking about building sustainable revenue sources. The grants are awesome, but they happen once. They can go away with the political leadership changing. We really love repeatable things like the membership dollars is dollars that we can count on and predict. Same thing with the sponsorship money. And the other thing Rashid just asked me to point out is we are a registered charity. What does that mean? It means that you can get a tax donation if you donate to the NSMBA. So if you guys are thinking about that at the end of the year and you want to knock your tax bracket down a tiny bit, hit us up and let us know, and we will give you a tax receipt for that. So, and I'll turn it over to Ali.
Hello, everyone again. I sit on the Trails for All committee along with many of our other board members. I'd also like to shout out Cynthia Young, who has been a big help for the Trails for All Committee and has joined some of our meetings and had amazing insights. Cynthia. We formed this committee because we're Trails for All, Trails Forever. So how can we become a bit more inclusive, both in the way our trails are with adaptive building to getting more people out on the trails and seeing better representation out there. So we've built some great relationships and understandings this summer. That's something new that we've had in every board of directors meeting. Monthly is we have sharing sessions. So someone will take on a topic. Some of our recent ones are unconscious bias and reconciliation, among others. And we share for 10 minutes trying to educate ourselves into how we work at the NSMBA and just creating a bit more conscious thought into the things that we do. As we mentioned before, the adaptive trails and looking how we can adapt our trails for bikes, because so much of it is our wooden features are just too skinny sometimes to get people access up to the trails even. So really big here, and we're very excited to work with our builders more on this. And then like we've mentioned before, our youth programs, this is a continuation of a program that was run in previous years. And we did it again this summer as a pilot with Indigenous urban youth and then also Kids at Risk, funded by a specific grant from Arc'teryx and, oh, I'm blanking now, Kids Safe for them. And then looking into the fiscal of 25, we are still wanting to improve more education for builder staff, board members and our members in general to just keep on building this inclusive society that we have and community on the shore. We have some of the most epic trails, and seeing everyone out there riding and people helping use session features and cheering you on is what's so special about this community as well. So continue to build that kind of safe space for everyone to be able to enjoy the trails. As I mentioned, we're looking to improve adaptive infrastructure on the trails. So that will be really exciting to get some of our friends on adaptive bikes further into our trail networks. And then we're also looking to continue running our youth program and getting more youth at risk, as well as Indigenous youth out onto the trails and learning how to both build the trails and maintain them and also explore nature themselves. We'll also start up a members access fund for those who want to be an NSMBA member, but perhaps have financial barriers. We are looking into programming for this. And then, of course, we're always looking to talk and keep doors open to the First Nation of the Squamish, Musqueam, and Tsleil-Waututh Nation, and into any of the building and naming of the trails as we create new trails on their lands. That is the Trails for All program. Pass it off to Jordan.
Thanks to all of our directors for just briefing us and bringing us up to speed on what the committees have been up to, and also for our staff for advising everyone what our association has been doing in the past year and what you have to look forward to. We've got the results from the Board of Directors election. So without further ado, welcome to the new directors of the NSMBA. Okay, folks, so that brings really the meeting to a near close. This is an opportunity to ask questions of either myself or other directors or staff about anything that happens to be on your mind. It's not an obligation, but the floor is open. So do we have any questions or comments or any discussion that wants to occur at this point in time? Vince. The question is there any news from Seymour on their park management plan? Yeah. Vince advises that it dates back to 1971. I'm going to hand the mic over to Dee with the questioning look about the accuracy of that date.
No, it's not, Vince, you're not talking about the Seymour Trail Plan that DNV is starting up. It's OPC Parks. I have no idea. But we can definitely look into it for you and see where we're at with that. We will look into it further and I will update you when I hear back from our park staff person. Matt,
Do I have to yell so everyone can hear me?
that would be fantastic, yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions? Okay, well, let's just keep on.
All right, was there a question?
Regarding, so, that's my part of the office, and also, some riders, private riders, all the way up from, basic home.
Yes, so the question was around the gate, on Upper Mountain Highway leading up to Grouse Mountain. Now, Grouse Mountain has installed a secondary gate further up, past 7 Secret, like past 7 Switchback. From what I understand, I did bring this up to the folks at Grouse Mountain, is that if you do have a pass up to Grouse, or like if you have a, season pass or whatever, you are gonna be allowed. If you state your intention when you get to the gate of where you're going and what your purpose is, they should let you by. Now, we're gonna continue monitoring the situation, and if we hear any additional feedback from people like that they're getting turned around and stuff, then we'll have another conversation with Grouse. But from what I understand, people are allowed to ride up the road, to access Grouse Mountain, like if you want to go ride, that's routine and come down. You should be able to do that, so, yeah. For example, hopefully I got it a little white. So what is our technology strategy about getting more people involved with the organization? Are you talking from like a social media standpoint or just Absolutely. So we do have Garrett, our wonderful marketing manager, and he has a content calendar that is set, not completely set for the year. Obviously, it's fluid as we leave, but we have some general stuff that we do on a regular basis. We are one of my pieces of work here is around an education strategy, so sharing out education around what our Trails for All committee is doing, what we're doing through trails, through advocacy work and stuff. So we are going to be augmenting how often we're communicating with people, the work that is being done in the background. So whether it's blog posts, our e-news have always been the most efficient way to communicate out to the general public. Our e-news subscribers, I think, is well over 6,000. Oh, 7,000, there we go. It's increased, and our social media following continues to grow. So it's just something that we're plugging away at slowly but surely. Obviously, trails are a priority, but we do want to ensure that we are also sharing the good work that we are doing in the background. That answer your question? Awesome. Cool.
Yeah, so 2 questions, one might not be able to answer, but just out of curiosity, do you know how much of the membership is coming from running?
We currently have 25 traveler memberships, runner hiker memberships, which is, I mean, in a year, that's pretty decent. At the start?
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, the Bacon Powell connector on parking lot, is that going to be affordable at all? Because I think it's probably back to the cars.
Yes, so.
You did not talk to me after.
Yeah. I was over on the Bacon Powell. So the question was, the first question was, how are we engaging with trail running groups and stuff? And we currently have 25 trail runner hiker memberships. We are going to start running some campaigns and connecting with the trail running community even more in the new year. So we're hoping to grow our membership in the trail runner hiker category. And then the second question was around the Bacon Powell from Lower Expresso back to the Frome Mountain Highway. Is there going to be any improvements on that? They did a great reroute this year, which took out a big nasty section of the trail, which was a start. So there have been some improvements, but there is, as part of our 2025 potential new trail, there should be a new connector going in to bring people to the second switchback from that zone. So. Thank you.
Very disturbed about getting technically fine, providing the cypress, and getting car, and they, by getting my car breaker was lining her. And he is confident that there's a fun ground on the lot.
For sure. So the question or comment is, Betty, our good friend Betty, has been threatened by park rangers, he said, for connecting into Sagar through Cypress Provincial Park. It is something that we can definitely follow up with, and see. I'll have to figure out, I don't know if we have a contact for Cypress Provincial Park at this moment, but I'm sure, Alan, if you're still here, I'm sure he probably does. So yeah, we can definitely follow up on that and, circle back with them and.
Seven directors suggest, is this a replacement for the current set?
Oh, Rashid will answer this one. The question was, the new 7 directors that have just come in, are they replacing or are they, what's going on?
Yeah, so it's both. We've had 2 directors leave the board as normal transition and attrition. Their mandates ended, they were no longer interested in being on the board. We had 2 mandates and 4 directors wanted to be on the board, so they were selected back. So that's Larry and Steve. And the rest are new members of the board. We had some open positions that were full, and now we are full to maximum available positions all around. Yes, in the back, the pretty lady in the back. Oh, okay. Can we flip back to the front? Yeah, all right, we flip back to the statement of operations. This is an easy one. So can you read a statement of operations? Well, yes, I can. All right, so events, raffle, events, merchandise, and interest income is all revenues, all other revenues that aren't the raffle. And then raffle and fundraising is the raffle. As you notice, between 22, the last time around the raffle, and 24 this year, raffles became very unpopular, the tune of half. So in 22, the economic situation was that everybody wanted a bike and nobody could get a bike. We had bikes to raffle, people were very excited, so people bought many tickets. This year, everybody has a bike and can't sell their used bike. And so there's only limited desire to win a helicopter trip, and that was $41,000. Now, the expenses for both of those line items, for events, merchandise, interest, raffles, and fundraising, are in the events and merch line. Right, so you see in 23, it was 22,000 minus, it was 26 revenue minus 22, we netted 4. This year, it's 41 minus 34, we're netting 7. It was expensive to run the raffle, it cost us money. We were very fortunate to have partner brands, Noli being one of them, Knowles and Group. And so we were offered very preferential pricing on the product that we were able to raffle. But beyond that, marketing the raffle and going out in the community and promoting it was costly. We did, yeah, we netted money on the raffle, but it wasn't as much as we netted in 22, again, because interest was slightly lower in wanting new bikes. Yes, Cooper in the back. Yeah, so cash positions on the previous page, we have $200,000 in the bank. Income statement. So expenses, we're budgeting a very similar year to last year, so we're looking at about $700,000 in expenses. And we're budgeting thereabouts in revenue, but the challenge when you're a charity is that you can't just go and sell more widgets, and you don't have long-term contractual mandates for delivering product because you're a charity and most of your revenue is cyclical and benevolent in nature, where you're looking for the benevolence of your partners. So as much as we like to predict revenue, it's difficult. In the same way, if we had to and we were unable to secure government grants, we were unable to secure donations or event money or partnership money, we'd have to reduce the amount of trail work we do. We'd have to reduce the amount of community involvement we have. And so we really rely on the benevolence of our membership in that form of donations. And we are going to try to grow the grant side this year, as Steve was mentioning, because we see grants as being an area where we can make up the shortfall in funding. Yes, sir.
Related, first of all, thanks to all the volunteers, directors, fantastic work, really appreciate it. My question was, do you have a sense of what percent of trail users are members? Are we 5%, 20%? We don't know.
That is an incredible, so the question, in case nobody heard that or couldn't hear that, was, do we know obviously there's a lot of people out there using the trails, but do we know what the percentage of the trail users who are NSMBA members? And at this point, we don't have an idea. It's really, really hard to track, but it is something that's on kind of like, the side plate of my to-do list of how can we find out this information, because it is really important information for us to know so that we can then set targets on how do we grow our membership. Because we keep saying like, we want to hit 4,000 members, or we want to hit 5,000 members, but we don't actually know what that plateau or like what that ceiling number is. So yeah, maybe 5,000 members isn't possible because there's only 10,000 people using the trails, which we know is obviously is more than that. But so yeah, that's an excellent question and something that we would love to learn. So.
Okay, I'll take the microphone.
Yep.
I believe that Matthew Bond has a series of very difficult questions.
At last year's AGM, the board proposed a significant investment in new staff to the way of marketing with the goal of increasing revenue and increasing engagement with the community. So how would the board evaluate the effectiveness of that investment towards this year's goals? And how is that moving forward?
All right, so we saw positive variance in that role. So specifically Zahava's role, Gareth's role. Well, it was a combination of the two, but between Gareth and Zahava, Gareth was able to positively influence the number of members we have. We saw a net increase in members. We also saw a net increase in very generous members who bought the ultra ultimate super fancy membership. Super members, very simple. And actually we have a few of those super members who have very generously donated in excess of the membership cost, which we're very grateful for. So that was a positive variance. On the relationship development side, we were able to more than make up the lost revenue. And again, it's a relationship-based proposition, and so we will see a higher return in year 2 and year 3 of having these tools. Follow up.
Second question. It's been a long time since we've seen landowners actively work hard to decommission unsanctioned trails on the trail network. and with the recent, decommissioning of New Normal on Seymour, what's going to be the NSMBA's communication plan and public stance on, landowners decommissioning, very popular, very well-built, unsanctioned trails?
Our position has always been that we encourage trail holders to actively participate in the NSMBA on the section trail network. And we will continue to promote resources and dedicate resources to that goal. And by having a trail plan, which we have, and which we're following, we're able to have trails for all, trails forever, which is a wonderful saying that you came up with. And so, Matthew Bond, ladies and gentlemen, former NSMBA president.
One more question. What can members do? Obviously, there's local governments that have elected officials, such as District Vancouver. But for these other governmental, these landowner organizations like East Parks or Metro Vancouver, what can individual members in the organization do to help the NSMBA achieve its goals of expanding trail network and these kinds of things that we want to see?
Get your friends to sign up.
Yeah.
I think easily, like if they wanted to write letters of support for specific trails or that type of thing, obviously not everybody can be everywhere at once and we don't always know 100% of the things that are happening out there. And so if we can hear from folks out there what's going on, that makes our job easier to advocate for things that the public wants. So that when the land managers ask us, hey, what do you think of this? Can we add this into the network? We can say, yes, that one is really important to the community because we've heard from the community, even if they aren't members. Ideal if they are members, that just kind of, strength bolsters the argument. But if we know what's going on and what people really want in areas, then that helps us advocate for that. So tell them to shoot an email to info at, or reach out to any of the committees and yeah, we'd love to have a conversation. And by membership, of course.
Volunteer. The more members, the more weight you have.
Yeah.
When the association has 60 members, it's weight not that big. So you get the 3,000.
Yeah, Vince, also former president of the NSMBA. Any more questions? All right, before I hand the microphone back to Jim for closure, I just want to recognize James Nadel's contributions to the NSMBA. This is his last meeting as president. And yeah, you're being distracted. Come here, my friend. So Jimmy's contributions are great and wonderful. And we really appreciate all the work he's done.
You just like keep shaking hands really awkward.
Just like hands in front of everyone. And, James is inducted into this grand, his contributions are grand, such as those of Matthew Bond. And
Let's not overstate. Let's not overstate things here, man. I've been around that long.
And Vince, and we're almost in a full, like, we're missing Lilau and Jenny. And that will make every president that the NSMBA has ever had. So this room is, has had long-term volunteers that remain committed. And we hope that we can keep you committed for many years to come. And we hope to see you at many more NSMBA AGMs.
That's certainly, yeah. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. What time is it? 9:04. We're going to adjourn the meeting and the official business, but we've got some prizes to give away. So where's the Hava? Let's do this. What's that?